What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. One of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hello.
Better get used to this face because Micah's going to be on dad duty for the next couple months. This is the last time you're going to see him for several episodes.
Yeah, I cut my hair just for you people, so I can look good on my last podcast for a while.
Excellent. Bit of a lull in news, as is typical after not E3 happens, but we did get a couple of things. We got some late arrivals for Summer Game Fest from Capcom and Square, but by far the biggest news this week is, I for one am relieved personally, because we have learned this week that there is no widespread harassment or systemic harassment at Activision-Blizzard due to the results of an investigation that was conducted by Activision-Blizzard.
Yo, this reads like a post headline. This is wild, man. This is wild. Like the nerve, the goal to to just come up and be like, then now forever together. Like that's the important thing, right?
According to a report that Activision-Blizzard published, that was an investigation that they commissioned into their own company. Contrary to many of the allegations, the board and its external advisors have determined that there is no evidence to suggest that Activision-Blizzard senior executives ever intentionally ignored or attempted to downplay the instances of gender harassment that occurred and were reported.
Guilty man pleads not guilty. What? I mean,
guilty man tries stealth and declares innocence. My favorite part is later on in the report where they say that Activision Blizzard, quote, has been subject to an unrelenting barrage of media criticism that attempts to paint the entire company and many innocent employees with the stain of a very small portion of our employee population who engaged in bad behavior and were disciplined for it. So it's our fault, really, Micah.
Yeah. Us picking on the giant conglomerate. Whatever will they do? Oh, I know what they'll do. They'll make a Diablo and a Call of Duty and then pray everyone forgets about it.
Unfortunately for them, the lawsuit from the state of California still marches forward. I don't think they're going to take this and give two sniffs about it. What was interesting, though, is that I heard from another report, and I don't have it documented here, but I did hear from someone who would know on a show, like not someone that I know personally, that what this actually might be related to, at least in some respect, is apparently that the board can unilaterally give Bobby Kotick a raise, like a huge multi-million, hundreds of millions of dollar bonus if they want to, but they can't do it while the stink of the culture stuff is hanging over it. So they wanted to get this report out so that they could justify giving him a shitload of money for no good goddamn reason.
What's the point of having a board of directors? I'm not a business person, but I thought that a board of directors was kind of like I didn't think that they were yes people. Right? I thought that they were there to kind of keep the guy in charge in check. How the president isn't a king?
That's not what a board of directors is for. No. Board of directors is to make sure that they have a guy in the pilot seat that can make them the most amount of money. Because the board of directors are usually top investors or representatives of top investors, essentially.
Oh, so they're just so they're not. So, All
No,
right. Well, look,
they are not the CEO police. Now they tend to be because like the
because
CEO is one of the easiest positions to replace at a company.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, if the CEO is acting up, the board can just be like, "Nah, this is a bad look." But I guess
Is
what you're
Bobby
saying,
Kotick is Bobby Kotick financially mismanaging Activision Blizzard? Is he stopping them from making money, or has he begun the negotiations of a sale that are going to get Activision Blizzard shareholders, $1.40 on the dollar
yeah,
for selling the company to Microsoft?
yeah. God damn, man.
Yeah, it's
Like,
corporate America, baby. Late
good
stage
lord.
capitalism. Gotta love it.
God damn. No wonder all these people get into business,
To
man.
bar
Like, no,
to
all these business people are just evil, man.
Well, I
God
mean, but
damn.
to borrow parlance from our disgraced ex president, Bobby Kotick could probably shoot a guy in the middle of Fifth Avenue, but as long as it doesn't hurt Activision Blizzard's stock market value, he can be CEO.
Jesus Christ, man.
I mean, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Like they are taking care of him because he makes them a fuckload of money. It's the same reason that Roger Goodell makes like $50 million a year being the commissioner of the NFL. It's because he makes all the owners rich as shit. And he also is willing to go out there and take all of the slings and arrows for them. That's probably the closest allegory. Is the board of directors is like the NFL owners, and then Bobby Kotick's like the commissioner.
Well, that at least makes more sense. Like that analogy makes sense, even though like Roger Goodell, like you said, will take the slings and arrows, and
Yeah,
Bobby Goddard just like is like Teflon. Like
yeah.
he just nah. I don't want to. Not gonna do it.
So, like I said, look forward and like kind of in the wake of this, like Elizabeth Warren's been on her hobby horse looking into this merger deal, and she specified it's not because she doesn't think that the deal is like anti-competitive or anything like that. Like she doesn't think that Microsoft buying Activision is going to like harm the video game industry. She's like, no, Bobby, like we want to make sure that these executives aren't pocketing like hundreds of millions of dollars negotiating
Yeah,
the
man.
sale, while the other people that work for this company are getting shit on. And have been dealing with like mistreatment and shit like that. That's why the Congress is scrutinizing the deal.
Like this is what I don't understand, right? These people care about money,
Hmm.
right? They don't care about art. They don't care about what's being made. They care about like what's being sold. And you're making money like hand over fist,
Hmm.
right? I can like on a selfish level, I can understand not wanting to share that with your employees, right? Like I understand the mentality. What I don't understand is like doing something that could possibly mess this gravy anything that can derail this gravy train. Like I don't understand why you would do it. I don't understand why you would harass people to begin with, like
Hmm.
sexual harassment and shit. Like that's fucking weird. But like I don't understand it even on like their weird level. Like why would you do it if it could mess up your money? Possibly.
Because it hasn't yet. Case in point. 2 weeks after a very controversial 2 weeks after launch, Diablo Immortal has so far raked in $24 million of revenue. And again, reminder that Diablo Immortal is a free to play game. And they've made $24 million revenue in 2 weeks. They've not even released yet in China. There is some news that launch is being delayed, possibly because Blizzard might have criticized President Xi Jinping on China's social media platform. So they're trying to kind of let that lie low for a little bit. But despite that, $24 million of revenue. It's pretty good. Again, especially considering that everywhere you turn on the internet, there's a cottage industry of gaming YouTubers shitting on Diablo Immortal for clicks, because it's easy money right now. It's easy revenue if you're a content creator to make a video panning Diablo Immortal, and you will get hundreds of thousands of views on it, and that's good business for you. And it's been good business for Blizzard because people are still buying this game and spending money on this game, present company included. I bought the Battle Pass when the game first dropped. I spent $5 on Diablo Immortal. So I
What's the
am
problem?
I am part of the problem. I am but a pebble. I am but a grain of sand on the beach that is the revenue generation of Diablo Immortal. Now, that being said, here's also not helping. So there was a streamer, and he goes by Quinn, in New Zealand. And this streamer, for the clicks, for the views, spent $16,000 on Twitch in Diablo Immortal to finally get a 5-star legendary gem in the game. It took him $16,000 of American dollars and real world money to get this coveted item that is very hard to get. And what did he do, Micah, when he acquired this gem? He uninstalled the game and then realized that he didn't take a screenshot. So he went back in the game and decided, you know what? Uninstalling this game is not enough. He took the level 5 gem, or the 5-star gem, this rare thing that he spent all this money to get, and he trashed it into a level 1 gem. So basically he used it to upgrade a level 1 gem, which is basically throwing it away, essentially. Like it's
Yeah.
as close as you can to just outwardly like dumping it on the ground. And then he deleted his account and then uninstalled the game while he was live on stream, as protest to having the obscene play to win, mechanics that Diablo Immortal has. Now, I get being upset about it, and I'm sure that he was not impacted by this because I'm sure he's going to get enough views and clicks and revenue that he'll make that money back up. Not a big deal. But at the same time, like Activision-Blizzard also has $16,000 of your money.
Yeah, man. Like I mean, I mean, it. Let's hope that it makes more sense. Like you said, this guy, he gets streams or whatever. People probably donate or whatever, right? Like, I get it. Like, so it makes more sense than people being mad at an athlete and then them burning their jersey.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it makes more sense than that, but it doesn't make sense, Like, is this a moral victory? Is this I don't understand stuff like this, and maybe it's because I'm not as rich as I would like to be, right?
Aren't we
Like
all?
I don't have right, like I don't have. Like you could have bought a motorcycle, Like you could have bought a motorcycle. You just threw away a motorcycle, right? I don't have throwaway motorcycle money, right? So I will never understand the the mentality of doing something like this. Like I get it, right? Like you want to illustrate that, like, hey, this is bullshit, right? I had to spend 16. I can't. I had to spend $16,000 to get this thing. And then I just like it's stuff like this that makes me like, well, maybe these NFT people, right? Like maybe they do have the right idea, right? Because
to grift the dummies.
to grift people who are just like, oh, whatever. Here's a motorcycle. Let's throw it in the dumpster. Like I don't.
Again, I if you're gonna make a statement like this, like I can think of far better ways to spend that money, like charities or to support causes that you want to. Instead, you literally did the thing that you're telling everyone not to do. Like you're being like, like I spent $16,000 so you don't have to. Like, do you really think that anyone like how many people were going to spend like 10 grand or 5 grand in Diablo Immortal and then saw the video and they're like, whoa, wait a second. Looks like I'm getting raked over the coals here. Like if you were going to spend that kind of money in a video game, like you're probably like they already probably got you.
Yeah, man. I just
like watching a streamer, blow his shit up on live on stream is not gonna deter you if you were the type of guy that was gonna drop 5 Gs or 10 Gs in Diablo Immortal anyway. Like who is this for? I think it's just
right.
for the content, honestly.
Yeah, also it's like a flex, right? Like it's
Right.
like a flex.
Sure.
Like, like, oh, I got $16,000 that I could just fucking do nothing with, do absolutely nothing with. And nah, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I
And
don't like this like look at me shit.
and the funny thing is that this dude like is going to be right there on D4 release day, just like
Absolutely.
the rest of us.
Absolutely he
Yeah, just like
is.
the rest of us.
Absolutely he is. Come on, man. I'm looking at the replies. That amount could pay off my student loan debt. But the green arrow is more important. Like, yeah, man,
Yeah,
like that could have wiped out the rest of my student loan debt. Dick, give it to me.
yeah. And again, for the record, just to give an update, um, Diablo Immortal still a fun game if you're not gonna play it like a hardcore player. And as long as you realize that like once you get to endgame, there's diminishing returns. I've maxed out my character. I'm gaining Paragon levels now. I've done quite a bit of the endgame content, or at least like the faction based content. Like I'm in a clan that's actually quite high ranked right now, and I'm doing like the shadow seasons and stuff like that. So I'm doing a lot of the endgame stuff. But there's diminishing returns. Like I went from playing 2 to 3 hours of Diablo Immortal a day to playing like half an hour to an hour of Diablo Immortal a day, because there's just not that much to do that's not insanely repetitive. And obviously Diablo is an insanely repetitive game, but the proper Diablo games have much more of a hook and keep you, give you reasons to play like that, whereas this game just doesn't. And I accept that, and that's fine. So again, as long as you're willing to accept that, then you can have a very fun time with Diablo Immortal, and just realize that it has a shelf life to it. But yeah, like the pro Diablo players that want to like play Diablo for real and like do PvP and all that shit, yeah, I completely understand why they are pissed off at Blizzard right now.
Yeah, God help you if you have like addiction problems, man.
Yeah,
I got addiction in my family, but it ain't an addiction to spending money. I'll tell you that shit.
and just be clear, like I'm not like condoning Blizzard making this
No,
game
obviously not.
as fucking predatory as it is, because it's real bad. But I think that you just have to realize, like, if you're like a regular Diablo player and are looking for that experience, this just isn't the game for you. It's not. It is a mobile game meant to get the people that spend money in mobile games to spend money. That's what it's there for. And if you're not a fan of that, good news. There's Diablo 3, there's Diablo 2, and there's soon to be Diablo 4 that you can spend your time playing. That'll be a lot more satisfying.
Yeah, don't yeah, we here at Dense Pixels would never ever ever want you to give a corporation your hard-earned dollars. Go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all of your for all of your Amazon needs. When you go to densepixels.com/Amazon, you don't pay anything extra. You were going to spend that money anyway, right?
Right. Don't give it to don't give it to Diablo Immortal, but give it to
right,
Jeff Bezos.
give it to Jeff Bezos, and then we get like a fraction of a percent of it. So yeah, go to densepixels.com/Amazon and give your money to another billionaire. Pick up where we left off. Let's
I
see.
told you, I'm always terrified about this, because one day it's gonna be something weird.
You can get yourself a Marvel Captain America waffle maker.
That day is today.
You can get yourself a Marvel Captain America waffle maker for $44.99.
What?
It's Prime. 1 day shipping. Yeah, that seems like a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That seems like a lot just to have a goofy
Just have a
Captain
shield
America
burned
stuff.
into your fucking waffle that you're making.
And
with
it's
the
only
Captain America waffle maker.
it's only half of it, right? Like the star is only on like the bottom half. The top half is still like the waffle half. No, I don't like that. No, if you're gonna give me a Captain America waffle maker from densepixels.com/Amazon, both sides need to have the star on it. But if you want
for $45,
I mean, goddamn, right? Like, if you want to waste $16,000, you can go to densepixels.com/Amazon and buy yourself a Captain America waffle maker. I don't have my calculator with me. I don't know how much money that is, how many waffle makers that is. Um, but I'm sure it's a lot. And if you spend $16,000 at densepixels.com/Amazon on Captain America waffle makers, how about you give me and Brad one?
Are you a square waffle or a Belgian waffle type of guy?
I am a Belgian waffle person.
I prefer Belgian waffles as well, but from a home utility standpoint, the square ones
Oh no, no,
are
no.
are, are superior. So
Yeah, I can't make them, right? But I prefer to eat them. Yes.
so we got a lot of post E3 news last week because Square and Capcom decided to do streams simultaneously. Like these streams both ran at the same time, which is befuddling to me, but okay. And they did like a Final Fantasy celebration stream, and people were like, "Yeah, we're probably not going to see a whole lot in the stream. It's not happening during Summer Games Fest week proper, and all this other shit." Well, it turns out they announced that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the second part of the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy, which it was also confirmed that this is going to be a trilogy, is slated to come out in the winter of 2023. So that's just 18 months away, give or take. And then they also announced that there is a new gussied up version of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core that's coming to PlayStation as well. At some point in the coming look ahead here.
Crisis Core. That was Zach's story.
Yes, that was the PSP game that came out
Yeah,
many years ago.
I remember that. I actually liked that game, and it did the thing that most of these like side project stuff like doesn't do. This actually is a very good complement to Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Seven.
Unlike Dirge of Cerberus, which also came out around the same time and was not a very good compliment to Final Fantasy VII.
No. The stuff with Zach actually helps fill in the gaps that the original story has in terms of Zach and Cloud and their relationship with Aerith and what that is, what all that entails. I actually really enjoyed that game.
Yeah.
And not just because it was one of the few games that like was actually memorable on the PSP, but I actually enjoyed it. So I'm happy for Final Fantasy VII fans. I enjoyed the. You never played Final Fantasy Remake, right?
I have played through the first 4 chapters when it came in on PlayStation for free. I gave it a whirl. It just moves along a little too slow. It just moves along a little too slow for my liking. I liked the battle system. I thought the gameplay was fun, but the story just kind of plodded along. Especially when you know generally where it's going. Like obviously there's a huge twist and turns in this tale. But there's certain beats that you hit that are the same from original Final Fantasy VII, and so like it was like, hey, like we're still gonna hit those same beats, but in between them, we're gonna put in like 3 hours of filler content that's not actually important because it's not really progressing the plot along. I don't know if I'll get back to it or not, honestly. Maybe
If you haven't, you're probably not going to.
Yeah.
If you haven't by now, you're probably not going to. You're right. It does have a lot of because it's just the Midgar portion,
Right.
and like it towards the end is when it really kind of picks up and things start to branch off and be different, and that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're right, to get from major scene that you recognize to to get from like the bombing mission to like the scene where like Cloud and Tifa and Aerith, they all cross dress in front of Don Corleone or whatever the fuck his name is. I can't remember.
Don Cornero.
Cornero, yes, thank
Yes.
you. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
That just it's just a lot of running around and stuff, and it's honestly not needed.
No.
So, but I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it once you kind of get through all that crap. I do enjoy it. I'm kind of excited to see where it goes and how
Yeah.
different it will be. I'm excited to see how big Final Fantasy Rebirth will be,
Hmm.
if at all. Like I'm just very curious. I'm curious if we'll get the rest of the cast, right? Like I'm sure like Dennis Leary Sid is going to be there, and who else was because I think and Vincent, right?
Well, I mean,
I'm
the game. I mean, so what little they showed, like the little teaser they showed, does appear that they are traveling to Nibelheim, so that would indicate that Vincent is going to be involved in some way, shape, or form.
right.
Actually, I would be curious to see this in this game's interpretation on like the golden saucer if they do that in this game, because that might
Oh my,
look really cool.
it might look really cool, but like that's gonna be like 10 hours
Right.
just to get through that. You know what I mean? Because I can imagine they're just gonna just pack a bunch of shit in there just to do it. And that's I don't know.
Well, I feel
I
like
don't.
they're also like they're gonna skip like they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna give you like an open world to run around in. Like I think it's gonna stay
No,
that same very very pointed and structured thing. So I don't think you're going to Cosmo Canyon and doing Red 13's side story. I'd be surprised if you did that. I think they're going to keep it focused on the main Cloud storyline, and which is fine because like Nibelheim has a lot of shit to do around that story. But it's also the part of the main game that dragged the most for me. So I don't know how exciting I would be to experience that either. So, but that's coming.
um, yeah, it's coming. I think people just want to see that. I think people just want to see the burn it down scene.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they want to participate in that, and I think that'll be the big Act Two, like the end of Act Two of that game, right?
Mm.
And so yeah, we'll see, we'll see. I'll play it. Don't get me wrong, I'll play it. I'm just not like I'm not flipping out for it. You
It's
know what I
it's
mean?
funny
I can.
because Final Fantasy VII has the weirdest three-act structure of any game that I can recall. Because the act one of Final Fantasy VII is so long. Like the whole
Mhm.
like the whole like the whole first act up until Aerith bites it. It just there's so much shit that happens in that
Yeah.
game. Unless you consider that the end of Act Two, in which case I don't know where you'd mark the end of Act One.
I mean, I there are some stories that have 5 acts, like Macbeth. Like Macbeth has 5 acts.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking, like, I don't have like Final Fantasy VII just burned into my memory
yeah.
like most people do. But I would imagine that this is a 5 act story, and because yeah, like parts of it really, like I remember some of the major points, but I can't break, where Act One, Act Two, Act Three would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that sounds weird because like it's on 3 discs, but
Well, that doesn't count because the third disc is just literally like, all right, time for the end
right,
game. Like it's
right.
like so like literally the only story that the third disc requires is running into the fucking crater. Um, do you think it's actually going to come out when they say it's going to come out?
Well, they were very vague.
Yeah.
So next winter. So
Some people are like, oh, it's coming out like February of 2023. I'm like, no, no, just
no,
settle
that's not what that means
settle
at all.
down.
That's saying that would be this winter, right?
Yeah,
So next winter is after this winter.
that'd be crazy.
So next winter is uh December 2023 to like March 2024. And it's probably coming out spring 2024.
There you go. I think the fact that they don't have to actually build like a new engine for this one, like they can just use the engine that they built for the first game, uh, makes it a little bit easier to take them at their word. Plus, this isn't a Nomura game, so you got that
Yeah.
going for you as well. Another hugely anticipated announcement, Capcom announced that Dragon's Dogma 2 is now in development, which made a higher than I anticipated number of people very, very excited, because I don't know too many people that played the first game and have like glowing things to say about it. Maybe it's just like the weird corner of games media that I hang out in and follow, but like there were some people that were fucking geeking over the announcement of a second Dragon's Dogma game.
I told you last week or a couple weeks ago, man. Capcom fans die hard.
They
Like
do.
they when they love something that Capcom does, they love it forever. Even if it's something stupid like Lost Planet. You know what I mean? Like they love it forever. I wanted to play Dragon's Dogma, but
Hmm.
it felt like a poor man's Dragon Age to me, and I'm like, well, I already got Dragon Age. I don't
Well,
really
see,
need Dragon's Dogma.
what's funny about that is that I assumed that it was like poor man's Skyrim, and apparently like it's not. Like it's got like the open world, trappings of a Skyrim game, but
Mhm.
apparently like it's like what if Skyrim was mashed up with Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry, and like because you have like that style of combat essentially. So I hear it's good. It's on like the first one, Dark Arisen, is on sale for like $10 right now. I think it's on sale as part of the celebration around the 10th anniversary. So I was like half tempted to give it a download on the Switch and see if it's any good.
Do I want to? I don't need to get invested into another Capcom property.
No, probably not. Plus it's also, since it is like an open world role playing game, it's like like a 60 to 100 hour game, if you want it to be, I'm sure. So
Right.
I also probably don't need to get invested in this, but I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I feel, where I hear people talk about it, and it gets me curious to check it out and play it. So this kind of followed the story we talked about a couple weeks ago, where the what is it? The Public Investment Fund, which is the whitewashed wing of the Saudi Arabian government, invested into Nintendo to the tune of like $1 billion a couple weeks ago, and we talked about that. Well, they've also dumped $840 million into the Embracer Group, which is quickly becoming one of the largest gaming conglomerates in the world. They, just so you know, Embracer Group owns Gearbox, they own THQ Nordic, they own Koch Media, they own Saber Interactive. They also own Asmodee, which is the biggest board game publisher in the world, who is responsible for tons of games that you probably are aware of, and many that you might not be aware of. So they own quite a bit of stuff. And they've also invested in EA. They've invested into Activision-Blizzard, Take-Two, Capcom. But the public investment fund is throwing out money left and right with this stuff. So we talked about how like companies can't really stop people from doing it, but it's interesting because we've entered this age where gaming is a very lucrative investment property. People are like the lay people are finally coming around to seeing how big a business the games industry is. After kind of sleeping on it for it seems like a very long time.
Yeah.
So now that we have these companies like the Saudi Arabian government coming in and investing in things that you like, so that means that those things' success is directly helping fund the Saudi Arabian government and putting money back into this. Do you think that this is going to impact your buying habits down the road?
If I'm being 100% honest, no.
Yeah.
If there is something that if there's a game that I want to play, like I'm gonna play it, right?
Yeah.
Um, it would be very hypocritical of me um, to say that I wouldn't, given that I still watch WWE programming on occasion,
Hmm.
right? Like, so no, it would not affect my habits, and quite frankly, that the type of honesty that I just showed, like the type of self awareness and honesty that I just showed, is all that I would ask of people. right?
Hmm.
If this will affect your buying habits, like you're better than me, and I believe you, but like just don't lie about it.
Yeah.
Like it's it is what it is.
Well,
Um,
and that's the thing is that like it's been said by many folks, and it's true. There is no such thing as ethical consumption in a capitalistic society. There just isn't,
right,
because in anything that you put money into, there's going to be someone benefiting from it who you don't agree with politically, or that you think is an aberrant person, or it's a foreign government in this case, and that kind of stuff. Because a capitalist society encourages many different people from many different areas of the world to throw money and invest into things. That's kind of the thing that it's built on. And so I think that, like Mike has said, if you, as long as you're honest with yourself and just, say, hey, like, I get that, some of my money is going to be going back to this government who I definitely don't agree with. I can't let that stop me from, because then you wouldn't participate at all in
right,
in the buying process in society. I think you can still make selective choices about things. Like my line is, you know, how much are you flaunting it, right? Like how like if
yeah,
if the people from Embracer Group are going to be like, posing and doing events with like Mohammed bin Salman and shit like that, like that's a little bit different. Like the reason that I don't, fuck with Chick-fil-A anymore is because Chick-fil-A is very outward about the things that they donate money into and stuff like that. Like I
yeah,
understand that other companies that I buy, food from, like donate to the Republican Party and maybe even donate to some causes that I don't really care for. But they're not out here like throwing it in my face. Where Chick-fil-A
yeah.
comes out and throws it in my face. So I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna fuck with you then, because if you want to throw it in my face, then like you're gonna encourage me to not do this shit.
I agree with that. I agree with that. If like you know, if if THQ's next game has a bone saw as a weapon, like all right, guys, like this is not what I signed up for. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a healthy approach, right? Like it will be very difficult to live your life on a moral high ground.
It's
Uh,
impossible in this day and age. It just is.
right.
I
So
mean, like, or at least a completely moral high ground. And I think that you can do, you can also do things to offset that. Like you can understand that, you're caught, you're putting money into stuff so you can find ways to offset that, whether that's contributing financially to causes that you do agree with that run counter to these points, or, volunteering and doing like whatever way works for you that you're
yeah,
able to do it. Like you can put back in to the system and
yeah.
fight against it that way.
Yeah, but carbon credits are not like a thing. Don't buy a bunch of NFTs and then just be like, "Well, here's $1 for carbon credits." Like, no, that doesn't. Shit like that don't work, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
Oh,
but I would agree with you there, and I'd be curious to know if it's going to change anyone else. But it's very difficult to, you know to live that way, like you said.
I if you are the type of person that you will it will change your spending habits, I really want to know who you are. So go to densepixels.com/fans and let your voice be heard. When you go to densepixels.com/fans, you'll get invited to our Discord. Our Discord has a bunch of cool stuff in it. And it's where you can post anything you want us to talk about in the post office. Post it there, and then we will read it on the next episode. While you're on the internet, go to youtube.com/densepixels. Come say hi to me because I'll be gone for a while. But it's all good. And you can look at my Guile shirt. See? Bam. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at my Guile shirt. I felt like a Guile day. When you go to when you go to youtube.com/densepixels, click subscribe and click the bell notification icon to be notified for whenever we drop a new video. Subscribe to all of our podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the Nerd Apocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. And if that's not enough, go to densepixels.com/premium. For $5 a month or $50 for the full year, you get access to the premium slate of podcasts, including The Airing of Grievances, No Time to Bleed, The Men with the Golden Tongues, Offstage Conversation, which apparently is getting ready to do a really bad musical, and, and the full episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. Look, if you have $16,000 real money bucks or 25,000 New Zealand dollary dues or whatever, go to densepixels.com/premium and hook everybody up.
I know they're geographically aligned and I think culturally very similar, but does New Zealand have like dollary dues like Australia does, or is it? Are they operating on some other fake currency?
I'm just assuming. They're just like they're the Alcatraz of the prison colony that is Australia.
Meanwhile, Australia was the Alcatraz of the rest of the world. Many
exactly.
As far as new games coming out this week, it's a week with a lot of like established games being ported to other platforms, and then a couple like other games that are being like re-released or like collection shit like that. So it's a weirdly convergent week in that way. Summoner's Fate and Anvil Saga both are coming to PC. The Elder Scrolls Online is getting its High Isle expansion on console. I think it's been available on PC for a minute here. Fall Guys is getting released on platforms other than PlayStation and PC this week. It's also coming to PS5. No word on what upgrades come along with that. Planet Zoo, the Conservation Pack, comes to PC. The Shadowrun Trilogy comes to PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch this week. If you want a blast from the past on immersive sims, you can check out Shadowrun games. Wreckfest comes to Nintendo Switch. Fire Girl Hack and Splash Rescue DX. Thank God we're getting the deluxe edition of Fire Girl Hack and Splash Rescue. Comes to PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Deliver Us the Moon gets a next-gen upgrade. Naraka Blade Point, which is the Melee Battle Royale game, comes to Xbox, as they announced during their presentation. Sonic Origins comes to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. This is apparently the good, and I'm using air quotes for those of you not watching on YouTube, good Sonic game that's supposed to be coming out in the next several months, because this is like a 2D Sonic game. AI, the Seminium Files Nirvana Initiative US comes to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. The Capcom Fighting Collection comes to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes comes to Switch. That's already coming out? Jesus Christ. Madison comes to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. And then Pocky and Rocky Reshrined comes to PS4 and Switch. I did not realize that Fire Emblem's Muso game was coming out this week already.
Yeah, me neither. It seems very soon.
It does, because I feel like we just learned about it like recently. So,
right.
Let us go to the post office, where we can answer the questions that you guys send in to the show. Very exciting. Cam says, and I figure we were going to get a couple questions about this week. On a scale of Mae Young births a hand to Katie Vick, how messy is this Vince McMahon situation, and how much stock do you put into the notion that this is all part of Nick Khan's long con to get his childhood friend The Rock to eventually buy the WWE?
I think it's closer to the Katie Vick scale of the Katie Vick pH scale, because sex is involved.
Yeah.
Well, I guess sex would be involved in birthing a hand, but like, the wrestling's fucking weird, man.
Yes.
Look, I don't think WWE is going anywhere. I find it funny that like Nick Khan has just kind of like in the Game of Thrones, fucking Nick Khan is the winner,
man. he definitely has like Cersei Lannister his way, like,
yeah,
but not really, because like Stephanie McMahon is the interim CEO while Vince is taking a leave of absence. Except Vince is still running creative apparently. Regardless.
I think Stephanie is Cersei, right? Like because like she's just kind of a see you next Tuesday sometimes, but like she's very shrewd, right? Like she's no dummy. I think Triple H is very much a Jamie Lannister, right? Like he's just fucking downtrodden, and you want to like him, but then he does stupid stuff sometimes, and it's just like, all right, guys, um, yo, the McMahons are the Lannisters, yo.
Yeah, it's
They
weird.
really are.
It's a little strange.
Holy shit.
Again,
Um,
like when I heard that Vince McMahon was embroiled in a sex scandal, I think the first thing that crossed my mind was, how did it take this long?
right.
like that's shocking. Like the fact that apparently like him and John Laurinaitis like shared this woman is gross. Just not something you want to think about. I find it amusing, but also incredibly typical that apparently like Vince and Linda McMahon have been estranged from each other for several years at this point, which is, also strange. But like the Stephanie, like taking a leave of absence from her position, but now she's the interim CEO like weeks later on the back of all this. And then like Vince McMahon, like just coming out on SmackDown just to get the like the support from the crowd, which is really gross, by the way, considering we
Yo,
don't know shit. Yeah.
it really is, man. Like it really is. Like he's coming out like I'm the fucking puppet master, right? Like and what did everyone in that fucking arena do? They fucking cheered him, man. Like
Yeah.
it's just so weird. Like the most interesting thing about wrestling is none of the wrestling. Like it really
Yeah.
is.
And again, McMahon, like in the statement that they put out through his attorney, kind of like admitted that the reporting was accurate, but like his argument was that it was completely consensual. So like,
Yeah,
not a big deal.
nobody said you raped her, dude.
Yeah.
They said you paid. You know. Good lord, man.
Yeah.
I just which by the way, so what do you have to say? I didn't rape her. Well, I mean that's a red flag, right? Like you don't just come out and say that, right? Like that's a bit of a red flag. Um, yeah, man, it's the whole thing is just kind of gross.
It is.
But the WWE isn't going anywhere, and
No, if anything, honestly, like this might just speed up the sale and put the company on like more stable business footing, but also like completely change how the business works.
right. This ironically might be the best thing to happen to this entire
Well,
industry.
for its long term growth, perhaps, but like I really think that like when the McMahons are no longer running, steering the ship in WWE, that it's gonna be a very different looking product and probably not for the better in a lot of ways. If I'm being completely honest,
Yeah.
because then you're gonna get like a lot of Turner, WCW days shit going on. I would imagine.
You're getting it right now at AEW. You're
That's
getting it right now at AEW.
yeah. See,
Yeah, I
like
think as much as I like I enjoy both products, but like AEW still feels like WCW to me. Like it
interesting
still
because
feels
it still feels like it's more, I don't know, free spirited than WWE is right now.
I think that's very calculated. I think they're doing a very good job of presenting that, and I think their fan base, their hardcore fan base,
Hmm.
is so like anti WWE that I think their fan base has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And I'm strictly speaking, like I'm a fan of the product, but I'm not like this wrestling historian, right? Like I'm not
Hmm.
a part of the internet wrestling community, not an active member, right? Like it's I I don't know, man. Sometimes I just feel like there's still a little WCW ish, better than WCW, but I
Hmm.
still feel like I see some signs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
So, but yeah, wild shit going on in WWE, and the fact that Vince McMahon has still not like stepped away completely is the most insane thing. Like he stepped
Oh my
away
god.
from like his serious role, but he's still doing like the other half of his job while all this is
Yeah,
going on.
he's doing the half of his job that he likes.
Yeah, which I'm
Yeah.
sure is not awkward at all for anyone working backstage.
Man, this is like some R. Kelly type shit, right?
Man, it's so
Like
weird.
R. Kelly has been telling us for years that he has been a sexual predator in all of his songs and all of his actions, and then finally, right? Like after literally decades, he's finally being taken to task. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Vince McMahon has been telling us through his actions, through his booking, bark like a dog. Like, yo, you gonna make a woman bark like a dog on television? Kiss my ass. What if I was the father of your baby, daughter? Like, what the fuck? Like no, yo. Like, let's not do an incest angle. All right, well, somebody's doing an incest angle because, like, this is a weird dude, man, and like it just is finally coming. It's finally like people are taking it seriously. It's
Yeah.
just funny. That's all.
Yeah. Anthony says, "Are you guys excited for Hollow Knight Silk Song to come out in the next calendar year?" I'll tell you what, Hollow Knight is one of those games that I've tried several times, and I like. It's not a bad game. I like playing it, but it's never sunk its fucking claws into me like a lot of other games do. And I end up playing it for a couple hours, making some progress, and then putting it down and not returning to it for several months.
I've never played Hollow Knight. I don't even know what type of game it
It
is.
is a Metroid game.
Okay. Maybe I'll play it. Maybe I'll give it. It's got to be on like Game Pass
Oh,
or something.
yes, it 100% is on Game Pass at this point. I think it's all. I think it's on Game Pass. I think it's on like the Sony fake Game Pass that like, that they just rolled out. So like regardless of where you want to play it, it is available. You can play it. It's a good game. It's got a cool style to it. Music's excellent. Again, it is a Metroid game, so if you like Metroid games, then it's there for you. It's a Metroid game with with slightly challenging, more challenging combat, probably a tick above like Castlevania 2D, Metroidvania combat.
My thing with Metroid games, the last Metroid style game I played that I really, really enjoyed was Guacamelee. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the thing with me in Metroid style games is I kind of have to like the world and I kind
Mm-hmm.
of have to dig. And I dig Guacamelee's world, right? Because like we just had a 5-minute conversation about wrestling. Wow, turns out Guacamelee is about a wrestler. And and I think I didn't give Hollow Knight a shot just because I see it and there's something about it that I just didn't like gravitate toward.
Yeah, I mean, it
Um,
definitely has a distinct world with a lot of flavor. But whether you like it or not, it's a whole different thing altogether.
mhm.
So, like I said, I think it's a good game, but it never hooked me in the same way it did for many, many other people who were very excited to see a Silk Song trailer and immediately bummed out that it didn't have a release date inside of it. So, Mark says, if you bought any of the higher PlayStation Plus tiers, what games were you on the fence about that got you to get that tier? I have not upgraded my subscription yet. Honestly, like the games that are available have not stopped me. It's the fact that their cloud streaming is still pretty limited, so that you can only do it on PlayStation or PC. And if you can't do it on a phone, then I'm not giving you the money to make that happen.
um, I'm not going to get the bigger tiers. I do have a gripe with it though. It's turned the PlayStation Store into a mess.
See, I'm not even logged on to my PlayStation since they rolled it out, so I don't know what it's done.
It's like, hey, here's new releases, Tekken 2 and Siphon Filter and shit like that. And I'm like, what? And it's new releases per the PlayStation Plus like premium
Hmm.
package, right?
Can't
Like
you
those
can't
are
you also buy those games separately though?
I think you can,
Hmm.
but I like if I hop on to the store to see like, hey, what's coming out? Like I need them to like section that off. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I need them to kind of fix this again, because it was great before. And now with this, like, I get it. They're showing you all these games, like, oh wow, I could play Siphon Filter. I haven't played that in a long time, and like, I get what they're trying to do,
Hmm.
but no, I don't like it. I don't. I don't like it. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone to see if it does the same thing. But I'm not. But I'm not seeing it. But in the actual store, it just is a bit of a mess. Yeah, yeah, it's here. Like, I click on PS5, and
Hmm.
then it's showing me like Siphon Filter and Jurassic World Evolution 2. I guess that's a new game.
That is a new game.
Resident Evil Director's Cut, Wild Arms, Worms Armageddon. Like, I'm getting all these things, and I'm like, what? Huh? What? So yeah, fix it.
Yeah, it's a little weird. And again, this you know that's always been a problem that the PlayStation Store has had is they've never done curation very well.
Yeah.
Mark also, so Mark likes to ask the questions to stir the shit on the show, and I think he thinks he's stirring shit on the show with this question, but he's wrong, and I'll explain why. He says, "Are you a middle of the brownie or an edge of the brownie type of person?"
This might get me a lot of flack. Not a brownie person.
I mean,
I
that's
don't like.
fair. I'm half a brownie person. I prefer not brownies, but I will eat a brownie if it's available. That being said, I'm a middle of the brownie person, and here's why that's not controversial. Because the way that partnerships work in like a marriage or some other kind of partnership is you want to find someone who runs counter to you in terms of your brownie habit. So like my wife is an edge of the brownie person
Ah,
and I'm a middle brownie person, so it works out really well because
there you
she
go.
she she takes the edges and I take the middle, and she doesn't want me to have the corners, and that's fine because I don't want them because like the corners have two edges, and so they're better than a single edge.
You
If
know
you're
what? I mean, it's you're 100% right. Like,
Yeah.
that's why you guys are a successful couple. It's the yin and yang via brownie.
Yes. So Mark was thinking he was going to stir up some shit like he did with the fucking pie cake debate a couple weeks ago, and the thermostat debate a couple weeks ago, but
Yeah,
not
sorry,
this time.
buddy. You
Not
gotta
this
pick
time.
a new one. I am not a concentrated chocolate person. I don't. The closest pure chocolate thing I will have is a chocolate milkshake, and that is not pure chocolate. So
We'll see. And the funny thing with brownies, like my preferred brownie is like a brownie, but like with cream cheese, like on top, like drizzled
yeah,
on top. So it's kind of like a black bottom in
yeah.
some sorts of ways. So finally, Trey says, given the success of Streets of Rage 4 and TMNT Shredder's Revenge, should Capcom stop bullshitting and let .emu get the Final Fight license, or is Capcom just going to keep Final Fight going via Street Fighter? I don't know, man. Like, I could see them contracting out. Well, .emu is the publisher, first of all. I can't remember who the actual developer is that did these games. I could see
Played
them.
that game.
Say again.
I played that game. I played TMNT Shredder's Revenge.
Oh, there you go. See, I have not bought it yet. I'm going to probably buy it this weekend because I've heard it's very, very good.
It is. It's very, very good. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it. Like, it's it's the best thing since like Turtles in Time. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's it's amazing. But anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean to derail.
No, it's okay. I think if Capcom wants to do anything with Final Fight, then it would make sense just to give it to these guys and let them kind of run wild with it, considering how good Streets of Rage 4 is and how good Shredder's Revenge is. But that's if Capcom wants to do anything with Final Fight. like you're making the assumption that Capcom wants to, bring the Final Fight branding back to the surface again. I don't think they care.
Yeah, I think the reason you saw a bunch of Final Fight characters in Street Fighter Five is because Yoshinori Ono, when he was producer of 4 and parts of 5, he really liked Final Fight. Um, there's a reason why, according to that leaked list, like, there are no Final Fight like characters in it,
Mhm.
like that you can play as, right? Like I'm sure they like the idea of Final Fight and Street Fighter and Rival Schools and all that being a shared world, but I feel like if you're gonna do anything with Final Fight, you got to kind of go back to your roots.
Mhm.
And while I really like the idea of um, this, like a new Final Fight given to these folks who did TMNT Shredder's Revenge, because that game is like weirdly like it's got cancels and and like it's like escape moves, right? Like it's
Mhm.
not just like it's a very very good game
Yeah.
for what it is. But I do like the idea of like them shopping it out. I think the last time they shopped out a property was DMC Devil May Cry, and
Yeah.
and that really didn't hit people like in the feels, at least aesthetically. Like the game was fine,
Mhm.
but like they saw this heroin Dante and they were like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well,
So
and I could be wrong about this, but from my perception, it does not seem like that Final Fight has the same level of like nostalgia that folks had for Streets of Rage and for Turtles. I think that the reason that those games are so successful is because their original iterations were also like super beloved, at least in the U.S. I'm sure Final Fight was more popular in Japan, but like I didn't play Final Fight till I was an adult at all.
I didn't play Streets of Rage until I was an adult.
But did you have a Genesis growing up?
I did not.
Well, see,
That and
that's
that's
why that's
probably
why
the
you didn't play
reason.
Streets of Rage. Like there's a whole generation of folks who played the shit out of Streets of Rage. Terrence, being one of them, of course, as
Yeah.
we talked about on the show before. And the Turtles games were, an institution when we were kids. Like that came out on fucking everything. So I think that helped those games is that they had this like nostalgia base that I don't necessarily know that Final Fight has. Because like even on the schoolyard when I was a kid, like there wasn't anyone being like, "Oh, well, shit, you gotta play Final Fight. It's amazing." Like, no, like you gotta play Turtles in Time. Like Turtles in Time is where it's at. So
Yeah, I mean I wanna say I wanna believe you, but I'm a Capcom mark and and I would love another Final Fight. Um but you might be right. Maybe it doesn't have the panache that it certainly doesn't have the panache that like Ninja Turtles has, right?
yeah,
Like Ninja Turtles is in a class all by itself when it comes to stuff like this. When it comes to properties and brand recognition, right? Um, but I don't know. I feel like Streets of Rage and Final Fight were kind of on the same level. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like I said, maybe I'm just Capcom mark that can't see past his love for
yeah.
Capcom.
Well, and it's funny because like I think that if they had used like especially like Mike Hagar in in properties outside of Final Fight more, maybe they could have built that panache.
Yeah.
Because again, like Mike Hagar is a cool character. Like this fucking buff dude, like going out kicking ass, and he's the mayor. Like that's
Yeah, he's the
that's cool as
mayor,
shit.
dude.
Yeah,
He's basically the mayor of Detroit, right? Like it's just like I can't fucking do this shit. And like, well, somebody's got to take care of business, right? And he still got his slacks on. He's
yeah,
got his slacks and his brown loafers on. He's giving people power drivers and shit, right? Like I'm very upset that he was never a character in Street Fighter. Like, I
yeah.
understand he was a character in Marvel vs. Capcom, but like they don't count, right?
No,
Like they don't really count. Yeah, that guy should have been a man. That guy should have been a character. It should be him and Zangief uh, going at it, right? Like that should have been like an awesome like thing. I don't know, but we'll see. Now Cody's the mayor. The fuck out of
is
here,
he? That's weird.
Cody.
Mayor
In Street
Cody.
Fighter Five, that's Cody's arc, right? In Street Fighter Five, he ends up being the mayor. This fucking dude who decided that vigilante justice was the right thing to do. And look, to his like defense, like the mayor backed him up, right? Then he got thrown in prison for it, and then he's a felon, right? And now he's the mayor carrying around a knife. Man, you better get out of here. Goddamn political upper. Man, that's some white privilege ass shit if I've ever seen it, yo. Political upper. Like, no, bitch, it was criminal upper. You a criminal.
On that note, that is all we have at the post office. Thank you guys very much for submitting your questions. You guys can submit them too if you join our Discord at densepixels.com/fans. We are willing to elicit any of your nonsense that you want to throw our way, and there's always some good questions every week from you guys listening in the Dense Pixels post office. Make sure you subscribe to this show and all the other TNP shows wherever you download fine podcasts. You can go over to youtube.com/densepixels and subscribe to us there as well. You can ring that bell icon too so you get notifications whenever the new videos post. And then you can go to twitch.tv/densepixels to subscribe to us there, and then follow our individual Twitch accounts as well. I'm DensePixels Brad. Carrie is Up It's Carrie. Terrence is Apparition 410. Micah, enjoy doing dad stuff for the next couple months.
Yeah,
very exciting.
I'm very excited. Friday is the big day, and my wife doesn't want the name to be revealed. It's not like a weird name. I just find it funny. So it's a name that has it. My wife is a royalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she likes the royals, right? And it's a name that has something in common with the British Royals
Mm-hmm.
and the Rock. So guess what that name is? So yeah, but I'm enjoy the podcast, or should I say, bear with Brad and Carrie and whomever else they have coming on the show to try their damnedest to fill my shoes. I wear 14, so you got to get a big dude.
At least the ad reads will be more coherent for a couple of months.
Yeah.
We got that going for us. So, but yeah. So make sure you tune in next week. We'll be back. Micah will be back in just a couple of months. He'll be back before you know it, kids. Don't worry. So, but that is it for this week. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll see you all the next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.